So we are in need of iron. And I'm out here, a little ways away from the boat. I was hoping you could kind of see it, but yeah, you really can't. So a boat's over there. And like some of the other farms, I want it close to the boat. That way, when I AFK or when I'm working over there doing some villager trades, this thing will be running. It's going to be coming over there from a port. So I figured if that shoreline over there is the agriculture center, and this is a shipping lane, we need a buoy. And so I've designed a buoy that will be placed here on top where this dirt is, and underneath is going to be an iron farm. So if I come down here, I've got some squares lined up. I will link in the description to the iron farm that I am referencing, but I believe this is a pretty common design, but we're going to have some villagers down here. We're going to have 3 here, 3 there, 3 there, and 3 there. Now, each of these is going to have a zombie in there. That way they can constantly be scared. And then just a little bit above here, around this level, is where the iron golems are going to spawn. And then they're going to fall straight down this, where this pillar is, and they will meet their demise in some lava. And so what we have to do first is we've got to load these guys up, and I've tested this in a creative world, hoping that the underwater will still behave in my non-testing world so that iron golems only spawn in the center. I am notoriously bad with these types of farms, so I'm using dirt for now just to kind of go around here. And the premise of this is it needs to give the villagers a place to stand and recognize the bed so that they can try and sleep, but they'll never sleep because there's going to be a zombie with a boat, or a zombie in a boat in this space here. So bed there, there's going to be a little gap so the zombie can't get them, and then a zombie in the boat. So this needs to be 3 high. So this is 3, and then I need it to be 6. So 1, 2, and then 3. So now this should be 6 high, and then that will mean that this guy is now going to be the floor right there for these iron golems to spawn. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a time lapse here. This took a long time. So I actually had to restart the villager breeder. I had to place 3 beds in each one of the 4 chambers, and we had to get a total of 12 villagers into these chambers. As you can see, it was pretty time consuming. I think this is a total of an hour and a half, kind of cut down to a couple minutes here. But yeah, overall, this was a very difficult process. I kind of found a rhythm after a couple attempts of trial and error. So I cut out the bits that I really failed. I tried a couple ways to get these villagers in, and at the end, it really came down to creating a chamber just like I'm doing here, kind of towering up, clearing the water, and that with some sponges, and then kind of opening it up like this so I could just boat them in. So yeah, it took a little while, but we got all of our villagers in, and you can see I'm making quite a bit of progress here. So I typically build these iron farms in a place where nothing else can spawn, because notoriously I've tried to put them in cool looking buildings before, and I just cannot make them spawn proof for the iron golems. And then they end up spawning somewhere where I can't find them, and then the whole farm breaks. So I really wanted to do this underwater. That way there's no chance of them spawning except for this little middle portion, which you'll see in a little bit. And then I can get 4 modules of this going at once. And it's actually pretty efficient. I did follow a pretty standard design, which I do have linked in the description here. But yeah, so this is me getting the last little bit of villagers in, and now the zombies. So I cut it out. I died about 8 or 9 times here. You may see some of the death messages when I pause the game. But yeah, so my method here, and it actually worked quite well, minus the little hiccups I had. Putting them in a boat beforehand and kind of putting them in just like this. I tried several times to do different things, but you can see like it's pretty difficult to begin with. So once you get them in, you kind of have to tear down the outside of the structure pretty quickly so that an iron golem doesn't spawn. I actually had that happen on one of the other pillars. But yeah, so this is what the final chamber looks like, so that all of the zombies can be in there. I did have the zombies steal my wings a couple times, and I actually had one of them attack the villagers, and the villager took my elytra, so I had to cure them while they were in there. It was a whole thing. But now we should be in a good place to go. What you're seeing here is kind of like the final iterations. I cut out all the boring stuff where I messed up. But once you have all the zombies in place and all the villagers in place, you kind of have this 9x9 chamber where, and you can see I kind of fell down, but a 9x9 chamber where they can spawn, and then they kind of come down there. So yeah, I think I just have a couple more bottles or buckets of water to place here, and then we'll see a nice quick time lapse of a couple iron golems spawning. So the reason I need all this iron, I think I mentioned before, is I need to decorate the ship, and I have a lot of minecarts to build for villagers. So hopefully this will produce a lot, and yeah. So the last little bit here is this guy somehow spawned outside, so we're going to take care of him. And then we're going to cut to, you know, a nice time lapse here where you could see there they are. They spawn down. They come down into lava about 30 blocks below. Well, I would say that this iron farm is a success. I finished setting it up this morning and just went to go get my coffee. And I have a lot of stacks. So this is wonderful. I wonder if I could fit all of this in. I can. So we're going to do a little bit more here. Let me go ahead and hop in spectator mode, though, so I can show you what's going on. So we got the farm here, and it's working as we planned. You can see we've got our iron golem coming in. In each one of these chambers, we have 3 guys trying to sleep. Something's wrong with that guy. Not sure. I'm not going to try and fix it. But yeah, they've all got this. They try and sleep. They see the zombie. They get scared, and they spawn an iron golem. You can see they're getting scared there. So this took a long time, and I was in quite a bit of a death loop for a little bit. So yeah, but now we are fine. If we come back in here, we can go back into our regular mode. So I needed a lot of iron because we need to decorate the ship. So there's a lot of details on the ship that we have not done yet. Actually, I should sleep the night away. Let's do that first. All right. So let me take a fly around. So you can see this back half. We started to use the iron trapdoors and the iron bars here, and that's actually going to be needed for the entirety of the outside of our ship, especially on the top deck. It's going to be cool because it's going to serve 2 functions. It's going to look awesome as the like little railings here, but it's also going to prevent mobs from spawning. So I've been putting that off for a bit, but I thought I'd set that up so it is just over there, real close, so that when I'm doing all of my trading, I can be generating some iron. And this guy, I'm very excited about. So I will come over here. I'm terrified of it, but you can see our big map over here. In this top corner where my cursor is, there is the, I forget what it's called, the biome, but that's where the pale oaks spawn. And I was able to find that as I was kind of just exploring this. Gosh, these villagers are so loud. I'm going to have to silence them. But anyway, I actually got this from a wandering trader, so I didn't need to go all the way there and fight all the scary guys. So I put it over there just in case. I don't know what goes on with them. I do know that there is the creaking heart things or whatever. And so I wanted to plant this somewhere that was not in my base just in case I accidentally made a big oops. But we're going to have that pale oak, which is very, very nice. Got some good textures. So anyway, I've got a bit of work to do to turn this into what I need it. So we're going to cut back when I've got some iron bars and some iron trapdoors. We're going to decorate this top deck, and then I need to make the buoy over there. So unfortunately, I ran into a couple audio issues for this section of it. So you got future Bert here talking over our build of the buoy. So for this buoy, I wanted to use all the different variants of prismarine. If you've seen some of the buoys, especially in America, like around California specifically, Santa Barbara and San Diego, some of them are green. And so I really liked that green color, and I don't usually use prismarine too much, and I wanted to kind of replicate one of those. Maybe I'll put a screenshot of one that I'm talking about here. And basically, I'm trying to create a little bit of realism of why there might be something here. So I found a nice clear patch on the ground to put the iron farm, and I really needed a way to mark it. And I thought this was a clever way to kind of denote where the iron farm is and still have a little bit of realism. So typically buoys are markers in the ocean to signal different things. Maybe it's like a no wake zone, maybe it's like a certain distance, or a border of some sort. And so having this out of the agriculture area to what is now behind me, it kind of acts as like a, hey, here, once you reach here, you can have wake again, like no wake until you get here. And it also shows the tanker, hey, there's something out here, don't go past this buoy. So it adds a little bit of that realism. Now, when we look at this, the way that I devised the color scheme is I went with dark prismarine on the bottom. What I'm trying to go for here is the bottom's a bit darker. I wanted to show maybe a little bit of water wear, if you will, like it's like saturated with water. Sometimes like when things get wet, they get darker. And so I wanted to make the base out of dark prismarine so that we could get some water down there. Now, I used just regular prismarine here, and I used fences to try and build up a structure, because most buoys that I've seen reference photos of have some sort of bell. So this is going to hold up the bell, and then I also want it to have a light, so it's like a true signal. It'll give some realism, but then it'll let me know, hey, that's where the light is. So yeah, I forgot a few pieces of prismarine here, so you're going to see a half finished railing on the ship there, which that's why we built the iron farm. I went through a couple stacks of iron just there, but yeah, I'm pretty geared up now, so I needed a few extra blocks. So we actually came out here to this ocean monument. I've already rated it quite a bit, and I just needed a few more pieces. So yeah, just grabbing a few more here, and then we'll head back. So while I kind of mine through this and grab a few extra blocks, I did want to talk a little bit about what I want to do after this project, this like little buoy and iron farm. So my goal is going to be to start to map out the world and kind of create different districts. You've heard me talk earlier about the agriculture area. I want an urban area and a bunch of things. So what I want to do is I want to fill in a few maps, because I'm not using a seed explorer like I forget what they're called. I think one was like chunk base that I used to use or something like that. But since I'm not using something like that, I need to kind of understand what I'm working with here. And so after I finish up this iron farm and this buoy, I really want to go take a look around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out a bunch of maps and to like their maximum. I think it's something like a couple thousand blocks per map at that point. And I just want to fly around. So I want to see what the terrain looks like and what we're working with. I know I'm next to a pretty snowy biome near the the agriculture center, or what will be. So I mean, it could be cool if it's mountainous. Maybe that's like a ski resort, or something to that nature. But I want to go and fill those maps in so that I can understand. Hey, how should I build this world that we're living in? And I also have to figure out what's just north of me here so that I can build where this cargo ship is coming from, because it can't just live in the middle of the ocean. It's got to come from somewhere. So I did see a few things to the north. So it's like a sandy L shape, if you will. Maybe I'll show it a little later. But yeah, it could be a good place for a port, and so that's what I'm gonna want to do. Just come back here real quick and let's take a look. I just needed a few more stairs and then we should be good with the buoy. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how the world is coming along. The pace feels pretty good for me, so let me know what you guys think. Is it too fast? Is it too slow? The world is really starting to take shape, and now that I have villagers and an iron farm, I'm pretty psyched, because that's 90% of what you need. Now all the other farms are just, for fun, and yeah. So I think here is where I'm going to take a quick fly to show you around. Maybe. Maybe not. But you can see lots of digging took place. So, and got some leftover iron bars. But that is the buoy. Got a nice bell on it, and here we go. Get a nice view from above. So as we turn around here, you can see it's kind of a nice buoy to tell the tanker, and this is that L shape that I was talking about too. So yeah. Hey there. You may be wondering why I have no armor. And, well, that is kind of a fun story. So, I was not planning on doing this, but we finished our iron farm back there. Decided to go a little exploring, and I got more or less one-shot by a zombie with a sword. What's even worse is, since I was exploring, I didn't have F3 on, and I don't know where my coordinates were, and my stuff has now definitely despawned. So, we are going to take a trip to the end, because I need shulker boxes anyway, and we're going to do a little bit of raiding there and try and get geared back up. So, yeah, let's do it. Okay. Let's not go off the edge. Perfect. Okay. Coarse fruit in the offhand. And now we go. There it is. I don't see a boat, but we've got our first one. Okay. Gonna get some momentum here. Perfect. Woo. Okay, I see a boat. Oh my goodness, I see a boat. Oh, thank goodness. This is gonna be a short end trip, and then we'll do a a better one later. Okay. I have 2 ender pearls, which is good. I think there's a potion of either regeneration or health. I hear you. You can shoot me now, it's fine. Alright, there we go. Hello, sir. Now, I think I did put on shulker box, or shulkers drop both shells. Yes, I did. Great. That is very helpful. Okay, now is it regeneration or is it instant health? Yeah, let's do instant health. That's great. Okay, we'll take that. And we'll take that. Blah. Okay, we got free chests. Depth Strider and Fire Protection. That's great. Protection and Unbreaking. Aqua Affinity Unbreaking. Curse of Binding. That's unfortunate, but I will take that too. And now we are going to create our first shulker. So, the good news about grabbing these is that I can instantly make one of these. So now we are going to start to put all of our goodies in here. Going to put that on. Protection 2 versus Protection 2. Okay, Fire Protection. All right. Let's just throw all of this in here. And then we'll take this and this. Okay. All right. After the world's shortest trip to the end, we're going home. Where we have golden carrots and villagers to give us XP. There we go. Okay, so we have gold on our head, fire protection, curse of binding. Darn. Okay, so we've got quite a few good things in here that I like to see. Let's take this potion of instant health. Great. Let's just throw all this in our shulker box, including these. And we're gonna make our way home. Alright, so we've got our elytra back, and we've got some gear. And now we can kind of get back on to, let's make sure I actually have this on. Great. Get back to our regularly scheduled programming. So, come down here, where we are going to finish up some of the ship and do a bit more exploring. You know, there was a rhyme and a reason for me to go exploring, where I initially got my face eaten by a zombie. And, of course, why would there not be a hoglin just chillin'? Okay. Can we not? Maybe? Can you see like a... Yeah, good. There's got to be some sort of blue fungus over there that you see. Please? Please? But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, there's a few more places I want to explore. So I wanted to kind of look around, build out my maps a little bit more using my elytra. So I have 2 zoomed out maps, now just 1, unfortunately, because I lost the other one as I was exploring. But I want to build those out so I can kind of get a good idea of what the seed looks like, so I can start planning out different districts. And I'll show you what I mean by that once we get a bit more over back to where we belong. So, as we pass the iron farm and the tanker comes into view, we will notice that it is taking shape. But we will also notice that we are missing a lot of things that will kind of put this into context. So I need to find a place to put a shipping port over there, and this has to have a destination to go somewhere over there. And I don't know what's over there completely, and so we need to do some exploring. And while we're doing some exploring, there's a bunch of things that we can be doing. Here is the map of our seed. So these are the four maps that I was talking about earlier in the video, and it kind of shows a huge swath of land that we have to work with. So if you look in the middle, there is a green dot, and that's where we currently are with this cargo ship. Just to the right of that is the beach where we started our village and obtained our villagers. And that's kind of where the rural area is going to be. Now, just north of that, there's kind of an L shape where I think I'm going to put the port. But what I wanted to talk about here is what we're going to do for the different sections, because I think it's going to be pretty cool. So I'm actually going to zoom in here for a second and show you a really cool kind of landscape that I see that could be really fun. So it's actually this right here. So the L shape is to the left, and that's kind of where I think I want to do my port. And just to the right of that, there's this really cool lake. And I'll show you a nice in-game screenshot in a second. But I think this will be a perfect transition from our agriculture area up here. It kind of reminds me of a national park. It kind of looks like Crater Lake, and I want to terraform it a little bit and maybe turn it into something. I think it's pretty unique. It's nice and circular. It's got little islands, like twin islands there. And what's really cool about it, you can see some red on the map there. That's actually a giant chasm, and there is some water butting up against it. And so what I think I want to do is I want to have the agriculture area butt up next to it and kind of almost be divided by a waterfall, which you'll see here in a second. So right there to the right of the screen, you can see the chasm. And I want to break some of the stone and grass blocks there, so it's like a sheer drop. And it's going to create a really cool scenery, I think. And so I'm going to flatten out the terrain a little bit, but this is something I'm sort of thinking I want to do something with. So I'm going to get some inspiration from a few national parks I have in mind and a few parks that I've been to. But I think this is a really cool piece of terrain that kind of breaks up the two districts. So just to the south of this will be the rural area. To the left of this, maybe the port, and just behind this. But I wanted to highlight this because I think it's really cool. And that'll be coming up in the next couple episodes to terraform this. So thank you all for watching. I'm going to cut it here. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate that. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next video.